talk about Toronto, because tomorrow morning they will choose a new mayor. Now, sadly, current mayor Rob Ford, everyone's favourite walking beefsteak tomato, is not running for re-election. But don't despair, for there is another. Rob Ford has a brother, Doug Ford, who is running for mayor. And if you are wondering how alike they are, please enjoy this little clip.
I got you. I know. Oh, good.
The funny thing is, like all typical siblings, the goal is when you're on a seesaw to jack your sibling off.
Totally.
You know what? You laugh, but he's right. On a seesaw, you really want to jack your sibling off. You want to do anything to get him off. Beat him. Beat him off that seesaw. Make him come right down to the ground because you beat him off so hard on that seesaw. But look, now, to become mayor, Doug Ford has had some tricky political obstacles to overcome. For instance, his brother has allegedly used anti-Semitic language in the past, and Doug was asked about that in a debate at a Jewish high school in Toronto. I'm going to play you the first few seconds of his response.
You know something? My doctor, my Jewish dentist, my Jewish lawyer, my Jewish accountant.
Why is everyone booing? I love Jews. I love everything about you. The tiny hats, the big crackers that you eat, your weird Christmas candles. I love it. Why are you booing me? Look, it wasn't the best response, sure, which is why, after having a night to sleep on it, Doug took a second crack at it.
The Ford family has an extensive relationship, a great relationship with the Jewish community. Matter of fact, my wife is Jewish.
Oh! How about that? That is a convenient fact to have remembered, seemingly in the middle of your sentence. Unfortunately, a local reporter then cast doubts on Doug's claim, forcing Doug Ford to bring out his definitely Jewish wife to talk about her definitely Jewish heritage, which went definitely spectacularly well.
My mother's family has Jewish bloodlines. I don't practice Judaism. I never have.
So, listen, she doesn't practice Judaism. Hence, I guess, her use of the term Judism. Though her ancestors may or may not have been Judesque. But look, none of this matters because by that point, Doug Ford had moved on to his next scandal after being overheard allegedly referring to the journalist who'd questioned his wife's Judaism as a little bitch, a charge he then spectacularly denied.
I was falsely accused from the Toronto Star as having a private conversation, walking out with two staff members. And I guess they just assumed I was talking about someone in that room that had nothing to do with anyone in that room last night whatsoever.
I was talking about a completely different little bitch in a completely different room. If I was talking about that little bitch, you'd know about it. Are we done here? Why are you booing me? Look, Toronto. I think I speak on behalf of the rest of the world when I deliver you this message. Please, elect this man. Sure. His brother was fun, but at a certain point, we felt bad laughing at him. Whereas Doug Ford doesn't have a drug problem, he's just an arsehole. A non-chemically assisted arsehole. So please, Toronto, I beg you, let us laugh at your arsehole for another 4 years. Yours sincerely, everyone who does not live in...
You know, I certainly work with families who have drug-using children or, drug-using parents, and getting naloxone into that family is very important because it could become a matter of life and death, and in some situations it has become a matter of life or death, and fortunately it was life that came out of it because they had naloxone. So getting naloxone into a family where there's one or more people in that unit using opioids is a no-brainer because somebody's life can be saved. And it's maybe a little bit more abstract to talk about helping a family unit, whatever that family unit looks like, to achieve this level of empowerment and commitment to not only their own betterment, but to the betterment of all those people they come into contact with in their neighborhoods. You know, there's this kind of diffuse quality to empowering people with naloxone. There's like this spillover effect. And one of the things we know from some empirical research is that people, especially in the early days of take-home naloxone distribution programming, will, you know, once they've been trained with naloxone, their drug use actually goes down because they view themselves as being a central operative in the health and well-being of their network, right? So there is this empowering kind of quality and this role-transforming quality to naloxone. And it's the same kind of thing, but when you're working with families, I don't know, it's like almost like a pay it forward. It's an expression of goodwill. It amplifies the life promoting element of that family. And I can't help but think that that has some kind of spillover. So that you have the concrete issue of someone in the family may succumb to an opioid overdose. You don't know when that's going to happen. You can't predict it. You don't know how it's going to happen. You often don't even have a clue, in many cases, which family member it's going to happen to. And so having it is so much better than not having it, because it is the difference between life or death. There's also the concrete issue of people coming into your family unit. Because families are porous, we adults have friends that we bring into the household. They become known, acquainted with our children, with our extended family. You know, family isn't nuclear. It isn't sealed off from the rest of the world. It is a living, breathing unit with its own sort of life, and it's interconnected with all the other units of society. And you never know when, you know, someone in your family is going to be interacting with someone in the family space, and that person succumbs to an opioid overdose. I have a 16-year-old son, and he's very averse to all manner of intoxicant. He just does not like the intoxication experience. But he has a good many friends who do like intoxicants, and my son is very well trained in harm reduction, and in particular naloxone use. If one of them happens to overdose, he knows how to recognize that overdose. Now that person, that friend of my son's, isn't a member of my family in the strictest sense, but I feel accountable for that person. He's in my orbit. He's in our orbit. He's someone that we spend time with, about whom we care a great deal. And he's a member of our community, and he's a fellow human. So we have that commitment in our household. And we have naloxone in just about every nook and cranny you can imagine. It's a matter of basic first aid and safety.